This is Sean Hale from Hale Woodcrafts, and today we're going to make a cigar box guitar. But what's really cool about this cigar box guitar, it's my very first one, and this is also my first YouTube video, so land a first today. I'm going to actually use this big hunk of wood that I got for free off of some pallet wood to make my neck out of. Now this is actually a tropical hardwood called Red Blue. This thing is super heavy. It weighs like maybe, I don't know, 10 pounds or something like that. And I'm going to go ahead and cut the whole neck, fretboard, and headstock all out of this one piece of wood. And it's going to be a really solid, heavy one-piece neck. So this ought to be fun. In addition to that, I got myself a cigar box. This is Avo Uvezian. I hope I said that correctly, but he is actually the same manufacturer of the cigars, is also a jazz musician. So I'll have an actual musician's name on the box, which is kind of cool. I got some black tuning machines off of eBay for a few bucks. Got myself a little pickup. This was less than $12. I actually tested it out. It sounds pretty good. It'll work for me for the first one. And little jack plate. I'm going to keep this simple. I'm not even going to have a volume knob on this thing. I got a little amplifier that I sit right next to. I can just turn it up with that. Easy enough. And then I bought this little deadbolt latch at 99-cent store. Originally it had a little thing that came out that I cut off with my Dremel tool, cutoff tool. But I'm going to use this as a tailpiece to run my strings through, and I'm going to use this bolt probably as a bridge. And so basically that's the basics of what I'm going to need to get started. It might be a little more involved than that, but we'll just see how it goes. So in planning out the neck, I actually am going to go with a 25.5-inch scale neck, which means it's 25.5 inches from the nut to the bridge, where I put the two red lines, and actually printed this out at full scale so I can kind of get a visual of where I'm going to cut everything. I need to leave myself about 4 inches for the headstock, so I can look here and I can see, you know, go with about 5 just to be on the safe side, give myself a little extra. And then I'm going to have it go, I'm kind of visualizing where I want my bridge on the box, and I think I'd like my bridge to be right about there. I'm picturing myself playing this thing, and with the bridge there and the pickup right here, that gives me a nice area right in the middle to strum it. And I'm going to have these frets go into the box about that far. So basically I know, where I need to do my cutting. Since I got this wood from a pallet, obviously it's really rough, it's got some tar on it and stuff like that. I want myself a nice clean reference to cut off of. I'm going to cut this on my bandsaw lengthwise. So I'm just going to sand this nice and smooth. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut out the shape of my headstock and my neck thickness. I'll do my headstock from there down. And now that I've got this cut out, I'm going to cut this in half. So now I got my width for up here, and I've got my width for down there. And with the help of a little glue stick, basically I can just put it right on my workpiece there, and I'll know exactly how to cut. So there's my 13-degree angle headstock. That's how thick I'm going to have my neck. And since I'm actually not putting a fretboard on top of it, because this is a slide guitar, I'm going a full 1 inch instead of the normal 3/4 that most people use for these. And then with this second piece that I cut off, I can put it down here using those as my reference. Now before I actually rip this down with my bandsaw, I'm going to go ahead and make a cross cut here on my table saw. Now using this piece of paper, I know how deep to cut into the wood, so I just set the height of my saw blade to that exact line that I just measured. And this is a cross cut jig. I can actually put a piece of wood on here. It's perfectly square to the blade and make a nice straight cut. And here you can see a nice cut. It goes right up to the thickness of what I'm going to be cutting on the bandsaw. Okay, now what's cool is because I actually used that little template that I made and glued it on there, it'll be really easy for me to set the cut depth on my bandsaw. Now all I have to do is this part going down this way, and honestly I could just freehand that cut and I think it'll be just fine. Scarf joint? We don't need no stinking scarf joint. So I'm just going to smooth this little area out here with a rough file. It'll smooth that a little smoother later, but got a nice little transition here. I did a little sanding. I got myself a nice neck here. There's nail holes in it, there's bandsaw marks in it, and you know what, that's cool because I think that's just going to be part of the whole cigar box guitar look. But you can see I got myself a nice scarf joint, but without the joint, it's just one solid piece of wood. And now I'm going to make some sort of a nut for the front, and a lot of people use a bolt or whatever, but I just remember I had this old boar's tusk laying around, and I think this would be great material to make a nut out of, so I'm going to use this. Who knows, maybe I'll even make the make the bridge out of this boar's tusk too. Let's see how square I can get this. Well, I'll tell you, you always know you have real ivory because it's got this distinct smell to it. Okay, so with a little persuasion from the bandsaw and the belt sander, I managed to go from boar's tusk to nice bone nuts for the guitar, and it looks like I actually have more that I can use later for other projects, so this is great. Okay, so I decided I wanted my nut to be 3/8 inch off of the fretboard, because like I said, this is going to be a slide guitar, and 3/8 is a nice healthy distance. And I went ahead and took some measurements and set my saw blade height so that when I insert it into the nut slot, it'll stick out 3/8 of an inch. Alright, so I got my ivory nut fitting nice and perfectly snug into this slot. Now, since I want my neck at 1.75 inches, it's actually a little over 2 right now, so I went ahead and marked the 1.75 width with an equal amount on either side of that. I'm just going to hand draw just kind of a little radius here that I will cut with my saw and just kind of smooth out with sanding after the fact. Okay, so now I'm going to narrow this neck just a little bit. Perfect. Now I just got to do the same thing to the other side. Alright, now I'm going to cut the other side, and what I did was I always save a lot of cutoffs when I'm cutting different things, so this is perfect because this is going to go up against the fence and interfere with my cut, but now I've actually found a scrap piece that is the same width as my cut that will let me ride the fence nice and even on this side. I think it's really starting to look like a guitar neck. All right. Okay, I've got this thing shaped pretty good. I've got the neck about 1 3/4 wide. So I actually printed this out, and I'm going to use it to mark my frets. I've got the frets marked off here, which actually I can align perfectly center with the slot in my crosscut sled. So it really makes life easy. I can just slice my frets all the way down. So let's do it. Alright, very nice. We got ourselves a nut slot and some fret slots. Okay, and using some of my maple cutoff scraps that I have laying around, I'm going to go ahead and cut them to the right thickness and fill these slots. Alright, let's start fitting these things and getting them into the fret slots. Okay, I've got all these frets, nice snug fit on all these. Now I'm just going to get them all glued in. Okay, let's sand it smooth and on to the next step. This part in red here I'm going to go ahead and take down away from the top of the lid, and that kind of allows the lid to vibrate more, and it also lets me mount my pickup on the inside to the correct height. That's the reason I added these little side things here. It was a little too narrow for my pickup and it was a little too narrow for my bridge, so this just is going to help that out. So I'm going to use a dado blade for this. Alright, let's see how fast I can put my dado blade on.
With one saw, I have a tendency to use these things quite often. It's getting pretty fast there. There's the blade. Unplug the saw, very important.
Now let's do some cutting. So the plan is that this is going to be inside the box. The neck is going to come into the box about 4 frets. Mainly because I wanted to make sure that the bridge was further back and I'm strumming right in the middle. So, and all this is going to be on the inside. I'm going to cut this off at the end. I'm just waiting until I get the final fit on everything. This recess will allow the lid to vibrate more, and also it lowers my pickup to the height that it needs to be for me to mount it. I'm going to add a 45-degree chamfer to the back of the neck here, and that's going to angle it in, and then with a little sanding it'll be more the shape of a neck. Okay, so the neck has some nicely chamfered, a nicely chamfered back. Now I'm just going to kind of smooth these transitions with a little hand sanding here and up here, and then smooth these sharp corners, and I got myself a guitar neck. Okay, I'm really happy with this neck. This is the final product here. It's nice and smooth. I've got it really just rounded out and gradually blending into this thicker heel here, gradually blending into the headstock, and I sanded it down to 220 and it just feels really nice. I'm going to do a tongue oil finish on this. Now I'm just going to drill my holes for the machine heads, and I think I could start assembling this thing now. This nail hole is going to bug the crap out of me, so I'm going to get a little bit of wood putty. There we go. Now I can sleep at night. So now what I need to start thinking about is getting this neck and everything inside the cigar box. So there's how deep I need to cut. You can see when I open up the lid, I got to cut this little chunk out right here out of the lid, and just a little bit into there. And I'm going to go ahead and keep the lip of the box in there because makes it close nicely. Alrighty. Yeah, nice and clean with the knife like that. I'll give it a nice score. Great. I'll just come along this line here. We'll just gently work this chisel through. Yeah, you get the idea. Just a little manipulation. You got to be kind of careful, and there it is. And at this point I'm going to determine where I want to cut the end off. On the inside, what I did was I cut it so that this would sit flush with the top of the lid, and that way I could screw my tailpiece into this thick wood right here. Now I gotta get my bracing in. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue a couple of cross braces in here, and the neck is square. Perfect. Square that way, square that way. But I'm going to get some of this dark colored wood. I'm just going to make a little trim right around there. Okay, I've determined the placement of my pickup, and now I'm cutting myself a hole for the pickup. And the wood is so thin that it seems like I can do most of it with this utility knife. Alright, I made a hole for my pickup, which is this little baby right here, and I marked where I'm going to drill, but I'm not going to install it just yet because I still got a few things to do first. Good morning, it's day 3 of the Cigar Box Guitar build, and today I'm going to go ahead and install the pickup. Well, actually I'm going to drill out a hole for the jack plate so I can put a jack in the back, and then I'm going to install the neck and the pickup and the hardware. Okay, I want to create a ground connection to the tailpiece of the guitar, so I've positioned it where it's going to sit, and I'm going to just drill a hole underneath it for me to pass a wire through. I'm going to install a strap on this thing later, so I decided to just add a little reinforcing block where I'm going to put the screws for the strap buttons. And there we go. Alright, making a little adjustments to my ivory nut. Okay, I got the nut fitting in there nice and tight. Alright, 1 drop of super glue. And then we'll spray a little activator on the piece here. Get her on in. There we go. Now, as far as my string spacing goes, I can actually just use the pickup for that. Alright, I got everything all filed down. I doubt you'll be able to see the grooves on the camera, but they're there. So those 2 supports are there. Test close. The box closes. Yep. Okay, this is going to be the tail piece. Basically, I'm going to have the strings go through some holes that I'm going to drill here, and that'll just hold them in place, and they'll go over the bridge. And in order to determine the spacing of the holes, I'll just put it right over my nut here and center it, and then all I have to do at that point is just put a mark where each string notch is. Just for the sake of drilling, I'm going to go ahead and just attach this to a block of wood so I've got leverage on my drill press to drill in that direction. Go ahead and punch some markers where I'm going to drill. And that's just right. So as you can see with the bracing on here, it keeps the neck straight from moving side to side. Now I'm going to go ahead and screw this neck down, but I'm not going to use any glue in case I ever want to take it apart again. Well, one thing I could say about building this cigar box guitar is I think I've actually used every single tool in my in my garage, like literally almost every single one of them. In fact, in the end, I think I'm gonna make a list of all the tools that I've used just to get an idea of exactly what I have used. Hand tighten it the last little bit, and with the neck screwed into place, let's see if the lid closes. And there we go. Now it's starting to feel like a guitar. It's all attached to the neck. Hey, what's rattling around inside there? Well, alrighty. Okay, it's time to get the pickup mounted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount these outside screws, and I'm going to go ahead and put the spring on there. And that is what gives you your adjustable height. These screws on the outside will allow me to adjust the height of the pickup. Okay, so this is the ground wire that I want to wire into my tailpiece. This is flush up against the lid, so what I need to do is route out a little channel here so that I can run the ground wire up underneath the lid. Okay, I've soldered the wire to the underside of the tailpiece. Now I'm going to go ahead and attach it. I've got that attached there. At this point the box is forever closed unless I unscrew the tailpiece, because it goes right through the lid to the inside. But really feels solid. I mean, it's got some weight to it. Nice mahogany neck. So in order to determine my bridge placement, I've got my little template that I printed out, and I measure from the center of the nut down to the mark that I have for the bridge. Now this bridge is going to be movable, so if I need to make some intonation adjustments, I will be able to do that. Right now, I know that that is the line that I want to follow. Okay, well, I'm keeping it really simplistic with the bridge. I've got a wide base here with a narrow top that I'll put my slots in, and you can kind of see the profile there. And what I'll do is I'll just hold it up against here, centered, and make my notches in the same location as those are. Okay, the bridge is fabricated, and that was a lot less complicated than I thought, especially just using one piece of ivory. It just really made life simple. Well, next I'm going to attach the machine heads. Got a self-centering drill bit, so it'll drill right exactly to the center. Alright, hopefully that's deep enough, and just to help me out a little bit, I'm going to put a drop of oil on the screw. It really just gets it to go right in. Alright, it's 6 o'clock on 4th of July 2017. And the guitar is all done. All I got to do is put the strings on. Looking really solid. I got my tailpiece on, my pickup, nice neck. I got the tuners attached. So let's get these strings on. Okay, so here we go. Let's hope for the best. These are medium acoustic strings, and I got these from CB Giddy. Thanks, CB Giddy. Shout out to you. think I might have put these things on backwards. Okay, I switched those tuning machines around. It would drive me crazy tuning the guitar, having to turn it the wrong way each time. I don't know why I didn't check that when I installed them, but I just, for some reason, I thought they went that way. So now it's time to string it up. What I like to do is I like to have the string go over the first time, and I take this and I point it straight up, and then I go under after that. Okay, so the bridge was a little too low, but just this one little thin strip of wood under there gets it nice. Well, since I'm going to go ahead and add this little piece of Paduke underneath there, I decided I'd just go ahead and super glue it to the wood. And I marked the direction of which way the bridge goes on the bottom in case I ever, restring it and forget which way it goes. Okay, super glue time. Now there's only one, I only get one chance to get this right, because once it touches the activator, it's going to harden almost instantly. So, spray the activator on here. It smells like bug spray and oil or something like that. Everything nice and centered. Good enough for me. And that's not bad. Not bad at all. Okay, I got it all plugged into this Honeytone amp. Actually sounds pretty good. And I'm going to take it for a little test drive. I've never really played slide before, but I've been practicing for about an hour. I had a really good take and a big old jet plane flew by, so let's try it again without the plane.